This is Frankie Lynch, astrological consultant. I wanted to do a brief video here, sort of like an origin story or just introduction to my channel, because otherwise it's just all unintelligible nonsense. So my name is Frankie Lynch. I've been practicing astrology for about 18 years, since I was 21 and I'm 39 now. Anyway, I got involved in the occult, though, much earlier. I was raised very, very Catholic, right? Very religious, Irish Catholic, conservative household. Military household. My dad was a Vietnam veteran and a colonel in the U.S. Army. And just about every other ancestor had been a military person. So we had a signed picture of Ronald Reagan on the wall growing up. So, let's just say when I finally decided not to be confirmed in the church, it was very liberating. I had been too scared to even take the Lord's name in vain. I finally did that at 13, and oh my God, it was like... So, anywho, I was 12. And I got my first occult book on witchcraft, or, Wicca. So I was already interested in the unseen. I was a very pious little child. I was very, very much into Christ and the Gospels. I went to Sunday school every Sunday. And, you come to that line, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That was something I did not see being enacted or replicated in the church community. So, bye-bye. And I got involved in these other subjects, like I said. Another friend gave me Anton LaVey's The Satanic Witch, which please don't read that, it's gross. But this was sort of my own personal exploration at the time. And turning away from the pious upbringing was a liberation. My uncle introduced me to G.I. Gurdjieff when I was 12 or 13, and to some Buddhist ideas. But Gurdjieff really made an impression on me in the fourth way. I discovered Aleister Crowley not soon after that when I was in high school. That was liberating, but I don't recommend sticking with that stuff for very long. I know some of my OTO friends will probably hate me for that, but there are much more constructive uses of our time. Anyway, and then I discovered tarot when I was about 20 and rediscovered astrology when I was in high school. And I turned away from everything. I became very scientific, very incredulous, and I even thought astrology was a bunch of nonsense. So, but then, when I was in high school also, an astrologer predicted me meeting and falling in love with my first long-term girlfriend, which would have been for 4 years when I was 17. So that did make an impression on me. And that's sort of when I started bouncing around the circuit again, looking at occult groups. There was the OTO. I was briefly in BOTA, Builders of the Atom, which is tarot, Paul Foster Case. And then I found my home in a branch of Masonry that I've been in now for almost 16 years. And it's made me who I am. And it's been the most amazing thing in my life, although it's been difficult. It's hard work. Anyway, that changed my life. And part of that tradition, at least in the branch I was in, astrology was quite important. I started reading Theosophy and Alice Bailey and esoteric astrology. I would study esoteric astrology for 15 years before finally discovering ancient astrology. But astrology was always just a peripheral practice. It was always just a side dish to the central quest to discover the nature of consciousness. See, when I was 3 years old, 3 or 4, I guess, I don't know. My Mercury retrograde progressed. I was born with Mercury retrograde, so my progressed retrograde Mercury had just turned direct. I was sitting on the floor in my parents' home, 3 or 4 years old. This orange shag carpet reeked of mildew. I used to look down at it and wave my hands through the fibers of the carpet, this nasty orange shag, like 70s grossness. And I would pretend that I was dragging my fingers through waves of grain, like I was looking down out of a plane. And then I was struck with something. It was the strangest thing, and I can still vividly remember the sensation. It was so subtle and yet so like a ton of bricks. All of a sudden, I wasn't me. I wasn't anything in particular, but everything was alive and breathing, and I could feel myself. I could feel myself breathing in it as it was breathing in me. Everything was pulsing and living, and I was a part of it, and it was a part of me. And the only way I could interpret that as a child was, I'm here. I'm here. It was the unequivocal sensation of existence, but not any existence in particular. It was just existence. And I don't know how else to say it. And it all sounds like drug talk, I know. But that experience is what set me on this way for the remainder of my life. So I've been chasing that experience ever since. But like Siddhartha says in the book Siddhartha, when we're looking for something in particular, we only find what we're expecting to find. We miss what's possible. We miss what is. We miss the realities. So my main task ever since has been trying to learn to go on an adventure. A childlike adventure. I'm not, well, I say I'm not religious, but the word religion comes from Latin, re legare, to bind together again. The word yoga in Sanskrit means union. So one could say I am religious in the sense that I'm seeking what is. I just want to know what is, regardless of what it may be and what the consequences are. So, you can join me on a childlike adventure. For as Christ said, lest ye become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. That's the, King James sort of English, but it sounds good. So join me on an adventure. Come with me, explore, yada, yada, yada. We'll talk astrology. We'll talk consciousness. We'll talk the occult. We'll talk what's ever on my demented mind. So, but I like to have fun. Hopefully I'm a little interesting. And I'm pretty cute. So, for what it's worth, I don't know you, but I love you. And we're all responsible for each other, for good or for ill. That's a short digest, but we're almost at 10 minutes. So I will say, this is Frankie Lynch. I love you.